Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Powerful Man Show. I am your host, Doug Holt, with my co-host and founder of The Powerful Man, Tim, The Powerful Man, Matthews. What's going on, bro?
Yeah, doing all right. In fact, I feel wiped, quite frankly. Got this weird allergy thing that's been bubbling for the past few months. But it all started, well, as you know, we're just chatting about this, right? And I just said, look, just hit record and we can share it with everybody. But yeah, a few weeks ago, 12 weeks ago.
Sniffle away from the microphone, though. Holy cow. Poor guy's listening with headphones on.
Sniffle away. You can't time when you're going to sniffle, right?
Sure. Okay.
12 weeks ago, there were a few things that I all started at once, such as all the cold therapy and the calorie deficit, and you know the drill. And I thought this had gone a few weeks ago. I took fish out of my diet, interestingly enough, and replaced it with chicken. It cleared up overnight. So I don't know if it was the heavy metals or what. And we're moving houses. So one of my theories was the dust in this place. It's like an old Victorian place. It's like 100 years old or more. So I'm not too sure, but the great thing about this, I'm really pleased that this is happening right now because I'm having a stool test done right now. And today's day 3. So I'd much rather this kind of stuff show up during this period if it's going to give a more accurate test, if you will. So I'm hoping that, within the next week or two, I'll have answers as to what's actually, it could be a parasite, right? It could be a parasite, it could be food, it could be a whole host of things, which I'm hoping the gut health test will bring up.
Well, one of the things that I've noticed, we obviously talk a lot about the activation method, the alpha reset on this podcast, the flagship programs for the powerful man, and ones we see huge results in. But a lot of people don't know about the one-on-one stuff that we've done, right? And working with people over the years and things like that. And, I've been coaching for 2 decades now. And a lot of times you see when people reduce calories, right? They're having a caloric deficit like you're doing. So they've reduced calories. They've added new stressors in their life. And I know you're not stressed with business, but stressed in general. The immune system starts to go down. It's like starting to fight. It's trying to figure out what's happening. And then the allergies or the nasal congestion, the sniffles start to really hit in. Now the change from fish to chicken, that could be, one thing, or it could have just been a coincidence, right? Between what you're doing. Heavy metals don't typically affect people with right away or leave right away also because they're going to stay in your immune bloodstream. I'd be really curious if you said you're adding 600 calories back to your diet starting tomorrow. Is that right?
Yeah.
So give yourself 2 days. I think you should report back to everybody, and I want a text message from you to see if this starts to go away for you.
Do you know the interesting thing though? I just imagine what I sound like. I may as well just hold my nose. Do you know the interesting thing? When I went onto this training plan and this diet plan, I was eating more than before because I wasn't tracking my food before. I was going by energy and how I felt. I was still training. But then when I went onto this, I was struggled the first few days, week or so, to meet the increased calories, but even that was still a deficit. So, yeah, I'm really interested. I'm tracking sleep. We love to test things on ourselves, right? Don't we? So I'm tracking sleep and lots of other things. And I've found a really interesting link between if I don't meditate as consistently, my ability to sleep as well. I don't sleep as well when I'm not meditating as well. So there's so many variables. So maybe it is the calorie deficit. Maybe it's, so I don't know, but I'm confident that this test ought to give me some really good answers.
Cool. Well, I hope the test works out for you. I'm confident that you add some more calories into your diet. If it's good calories, you get the sleep that you're supposed to be getting, let your body actually recover. Everything else will clean itself out. I've just seen it. I've done it myself, man. I've seen it so many times, literally thousands of people that I've worked with over the years, decades really, that I've seen the same thing happen. It's really common in the bodybuilding world when people are getting ready for shows and things along those lines. But we'll see. I think our listeners will hope one way or another we get this figured out for you.
Yeah, I bet.
Well, Tim, you shot me over a message just yesterday about a topic that I think is really relevant to the guys. Why don't you throw that on the table and then we'll go from there?
Yeah. So I was reflecting on the guys that have come through the program over the course of this year. There's a real pattern in all of them, both in what they've told me on calls, on their application forms, and also in what they have described as a real benefit at the other side of the program. And that is they come in and they feel like something is missing. Now, obviously, a lot of the guys we work with, the married businessmen, their marriage is a real pain for them. It's a real problem that they want to solve. But as we know, every area of their life is touching, right? And usually it's the sense that something is missing that causes them to continue to chase in business the elusive carrot on the stick. Okay, when I have the house or the watch or the car or whatever it is, the next deal even, it causes them to continue to chase because they're just not satisfied, which then takes them away from the wife, away from the kids. The anxiety of achievement, the burden of achievement keeps them the mind racing at night, which means they can't connect and be present and speak to their wife. They're on edge with the kids, they're short-tempered, they're snappy and all the rest of it. And problems show up in the marriage. And this is why marriage counseling and therapy, in my opinion, doesn't work for most of our guys, because often the problem isn't the marriage. It often isn't, right? We know that to be true. Yeah, there are certain strategies the men can use in that area of their life to better connect with their wife and their kids. But if they don't address rather this foundational piece, then they'll just continue to repeat the same cycle, like the guy who was going to come into, who interviewed for the program, who'd cycled through 5 different marriages, paid out about $200,000 per divorce until they realized, holy crap, the problem must be me. So I want to just dive into this and hear your thoughts, because I know you've been surrounded by a lot of successful people over your time, and maybe it's something they spoke about too.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that. So I was talking to a guy 2 days ago. Ran a Fortune 200 company, international, ran their China business side, or actually their Pacific Rim. So it wasn't just China, it was all Pacific Rim. So that's Mexico, going all through the States, et cetera. The whole Pacific Rim of a Fortune 200 company. And I was talking to him, and he was talking about how he feels like something's missing, feels unfulfilled in his life. And during this we've been talking about things for a while at this point. And during this conversation, I start to ask him about what he wants. And he starts to list a few things, Tim, that he wants in life and things that he has. And I go, well, you already have those. He lives in a gated community in Southern California on the beach, not near the beach, but on the beach, right? A gated community and one of the most desirable places in the world. Amazing family. Kids are great. Kids have I think it's like a 4.5 GPA, which I didn't think you'd get in the United States. We have these GPAs. It ends like straight A's is a 4.0. Their kids have because you take, I guess you're in the high performance classes. I didn't make those classes. So 4.5. I mean, they're great. They're athletes. He travels all over the world. He works when he wants with the clients that he wants to work with, right? He's already made his money and still wants to make more, et cetera. And so we started talking about that. And I went to the idea of, well, okay, you got what you want, yet you feel unfulfilled. So what's really going on? And when we started to get to the root of the issue for him and what was really happening is he wasn't secure really with himself. He didn't know who he really was at this stage. The picture he had of himself, right, was the old him, right? The old version of him as a man. And it was a younger version. He's in his 50s. And he's still thinking of himself almost like he's in his 40s or 30s. That's a lot. A decade's a lot of time to gain knowledge and experience, especially when you're playing at such a high level. And so as he's getting this feeling of unfulfillment, he's also comparing himself, Tim, which I'm sure a lot of our guys can relate, to other men around him, right? And so he's a high achiever. And I'm guessing 99% of the population of people are thinking, man, this guy is got it made, he's got the most successful, but he's surrounding himself with the 1% of other people that are out there, right? And so he's comparing himself to them and comparing himself to a vision he had of a 50-year-old him when he was 30, if that makes sense, right? He's imagining who he would be, what he would be doing at 50 or in his 50s.
Do you mean think he should be further ahead than he is? Or what?
Yeah, just thinks he should be in a different place. But also he's had just tremendous success, right? And he's been grinding it out, working his tail off, and he's gotten it. And I think the difference here, it's multifaceted what I'm trying to say, but one of the differences is we forget that it's the journey, not the destination, right? He's arrived at the destination, like legitimately. So he's very devout Christian. So he set a goal for himself just to come up with goals of rereading the whole New Testament. He's done it already, right? All his goals for 2019, he's smashed through, lost 30 pounds, all of these things I was talking to him about. The difference is he didn't really have a practice of gratitude. He didn't have something like the coil that we teach in The Powerful Man. He didn't have these tools to allow him to feel more fulfilled, reflect on his week, reflect on his wins. He was just sitting there trying to set new goals for goal-setting reasons. And then when he got to the end of the goal, he kind of looked around and was like, okay, this was supposed to be so amazing. What happened? And so he didn't actually enjoy the whole journey part of it, right? The journey, not the destination. We talk all the time in The Powerful Man about one destination, two paths. And I think that's one of the differences is if you're on, when we draw this for the men, I don't want to ruin all of this, but when we explain it in detail for the men that are in The Powerful Man, there's one path that you're going on, which you're hustling, you're grinding, you're going to get there because you're going to feel great when you get the house. You're going to feel amazing when you sit in that brand new car with the leather seats. You can smell it. You're going to feel awesome. It's going to be perfect when the kids get out of school or get away to college, and you and your wife are going to have so much time to spend. It's going to be amazing when you have $1 million of disposable income in your account, right? But he's hit all those goals, all of them and then some, but he's forgot the journey along the way, right? When we talk about that, the second path on there is really a path of flow and ease, one that we can have. It's like water, right? Water flowing through a canyon. You look at the Grand Canyon, water has been malleable and has formed that because it can flow. It can flow around rocks, through rocks, under them, etc. But the journey itself is what allows you a path to fulfillment, a path to feeling good, a path. And there's a lot of other things we talk about, but it's enjoying that journey and then understanding who you are as a man. Those two things combined give you that possibility, really resetting and understanding who you are.
Yeah, and it's a lot easier than that seems as well, right? Because I know that maybe some of the people watching, listening, understanding who you are, wow, that's such like a mind-blowing, huge concept, It can be anyway, right? For the guys that come into the program that I speak with, I usually say to them, look, there are two questions the guys, I'm just going to pause you for a minute. There are two questions the guys really struggle to answer at this point, and that's who am I and what do I want? And the guys that join the program, they agree with that. That's where they are. They've got to a point in their life where they've achieved a great deal of things on paper, yet they just don't see that. It doesn't land for them for whatever reason. And you hit the nail on the head. I think you've got to have the right system and the right tools to be able to answer that question of who am I? Because otherwise it can be a really daunting question that you continue to guess with, right? And put that identity onto the next achievement, the next milestone. And that's where it just continues to get moved and moved and moved.
Yeah, you're 100% right. What I was going to say, this is me off caffeine, by the way. But what I was going to say was, I don't think most men would admit that they don't know who they are, at least not openly. But I think if you ask them, right, if you sit down and ask them, so guys listening to this, look in the mirror, who are you? Write it down. Like, who are you as a man? Not the things you have, not that you got 2 kids, you got a dog or any of that shit. Who are you as a man? And I think that men would struggle to answer that question in a clear and concise manner.
And here, I think it's great to just mention as well, if you're struggling to connect with your wife, usually it's because you're struggling to connect with yourself, right? 100%. So you can't be present, look her in the eye, hold her gaze, and let her completely surrender into who you are, right?
Well, this falls right in with run through the 5 agonies for the men again, Tim, because I think this whole quandary of not feeling fulfilled or feeling like there's something missing or something there all comes right into the 5 agonies.
Yeah. Okay. So what we've found to be true, right, over the past few years of working with hundreds of businessmen. But at this point, there's a pattern that these guys follow. It's a sequence. It's as predictable as going from A, B, C, D, E in the alphabet. And where these guys are when they come to us anyway is they're in a place called no man's land where they've really lost touch with who they are and what they want. As a result, they enter the first agony, which is greed. Now, this isn't to say that they're greedy guys or anything like that. It's just that whatever they achieve, it never satisfies them. So they're always wanting more, whether it's more money, more sex, more love, more, it's just more, which is great to always desire to have more. Yet it's really important to know where that's coming from. If you're never satisfied, you're never appreciating things, it's a dangerous place to be, which then leads them into the second agony of anger. Because what happens for these guys is when they're in that place of chasing the elusive carrot on the stick, they then overwork themselves. They'll work long hours. They'll miss the kids' school play. They'll miss dinner with the family. They'll go on vacation but take 4 days to even arrive on the vacation, or not arrive at all. And what happens for these guys is this starts to bubble up inside of them because they're used to having all the answers, right? They're used to being the guy that calls the shots, the guy that everyone looks to for direction. But for some reason, they can't seem to answer why they're never satisfied. So it's like a volcano that's ready to erupt, a dormant volcano, and then it usually erupts when the wife does something or asks them a question or the kids come running up to them and they act out of character, they snap or push them away or whatever it is, which leads to the third agony of shame because they're starting to act out of character. They're not being the father that they know they can be and desire to be. They're not being the husband that they promised their wife they would be. They're not being the leader in their business that their team needs, which is the third agony of shame, which leads to the fourth agony of loneliness because at this point, they start to pull away from the people they love. They pull away from the wife. They pull away from the kids. They pull away from the staff because it's too painful to engage in those relationships when they keep letting the people down who matter the most to them. So they'll isolate. They'll get home in an evening, pour themselves a whiskey so they can check out and be alone, if you will. They'll go and take themselves into another room over Thanksgiving or over the holiday season because they just can't. They feel like a stranger in their own home. They're sat at the table, everyone's sat around, everyone's sharing and laughing and joking, and they sat there just watching this movie scene play out, unable to get involved, thinking, what's even going on here? I just want to go work. Which then leads to the fifth agony of uncertainty because they realize that this can't continue like this for much longer. The wife is a great woman. She's not going to put up with this forever. The kids, what's going to happen when they go to college? Are they going to want to see me again? Are they going to want to call me? Are they going to want to spend time with me? Will my wife and I still be together? My team, they're not going to stick around. These A players that I've attracted, they're not going to tolerate a lack of leadership in the company, a lack of vision and direction. How long will it all last? It's really, they're in this place of powerlessness, or at least that's how they feel. The reality is they've got unlimited power inside of them, but they feel powerless. And it leads to the fifth agony of uncertainty. Which domino is going to fall first? Is it going to be the marriage? Is it going to be the business? Or even the health, right? They've ignored the health for a long time. And that's sequential. It happens in every guy that comes to us. They've gone through those 5 steps, one after another.
Yeah, and I think the 5 agonies is so interesting to me because along your journey as a man, as a powerful man going through, when things don't feel right inside of you, like you just know there's something more for you, you can point to one of those 5 agonies and kind of figure out where you are, which, there's a flip side to the 5 agonies, which is the great part, which we're probably not going to go to in this podcast, but there is another side to this, right? There is an out. And as you get your reps in and it gets more formulaic for you, it's easier. It's like snapping your fingers to get out. You don't always, you're not 100% always happy or anything. Anybody that's 100% happy all the time, they call them crazy, right? We put them in an asylum because everybody has ups and downs. It's true. It's true. It's a definition in psychology. So you can't always be happy 100% times, but it's like getting an argument with my wife, right? We're able to pull out of it really quickly. And it's gotten to the point where it used to be a fight would take a month to get from to weeks to days to hours to minutes to seconds. So it's literally like something might happen, one of us gets triggered, and it's like that. It's a reflex that we're able to pull ourselves out of that fight, that argument, and laugh about it. And it brings us actually a lot closer together, which is amazing. And the same thing can be done when you find yourself in one of the 5 agonies. So as Tim was reading that, there's definitely some business leaders out there are like, crap, I'm in all 5 of those, right? And some they're going, hey, I'm in 4, 3, 2, or even 1. Even if you're in one agony, right? It's an agony. It's what you're going through. And I just want guys out there to know that there is another side to this. There is a way out, almost like an escape hatch that you can pull on at any point to pull yourself out of the agonies. And look, when you're in those agonies, you're feeling like unfulfilled. You're feeling like there's things not going well. Like this guy that I'm talking about, he's walking on the beach as we're talking, feeling horrible. By the end of the conversation, we pulled him out, right? At the end of the conversation, he's like, holy crap, I have everything I want. He's elated, right, about everything that's going on. But when he's in those agonies, he's pushing his wife away inadvertently, but nobody wants to be around somebody. He's a positive, upbeat guy naturally, but inadvertently, he just knows something's missing. And because he knows something's missing, he's judging himself. And thus the energy he's giving off to people around him is one of judgment and disappointment. And they can just feel it, right? They can feed off of that. It's just not fair. And so fast forward to, this morning, I get a text from him just saying that, things are looking great. He and his family went out and got a Christmas tree, the whole thing. He's taking Sunday and they're sitting around relaxing, just chatting. But it's a 180. It's a 180 from that feel of despair. Even though on paper, he's got everything he's ever wanted, everything going on. When I was talking to him on the phone, he sounded like someone who was down and out and desperate. But the truth is, he just hadn't had a chance to really reset and reclaim who he is as a man today and who he's done and what he's done. He was living in the past and and felt unfulfilled.
Yeah. And I think there's something important to just mention here as well. And like you said, even the guys that go through the activation method, the guys that are in the brotherhood, they'll enter the 5 agonies from time to time. That's okay.
Yeah.
Because they can quickly snap themselves out of it, like you say. And I think for you guys watching, listening, if you did find yourself in any of those 5 agonies as we explain them, and my advice to you would be to make sure you get the right tools, the right system to use, because this isn't about you becoming a new man, making some huge, grandiose change and having to completely redefine who you are and all these huge concepts. It's not about those things. This is why the guys that we work with can get results quickly, because it's not about those things. If it was about those things, I think they'd still be trying to figure things out. They'd still be going down the rabbit hole, right? But when you do have the right system, what you'll find is the percentage of time you spend in the agonies, and the other side, Doug, is the 5 freedoms. The percentage of time you'll spend in the 5 freedoms versus the 5 agonies is very, very different. Whereas if you were in the 5 agonies and you rely on willpower and guesswork, you'll get out of the 5 agonies. I'm sure you will, because I imagine you're a brilliant guy. If you listen to this podcast, I'm sure you're committed to your growth and you'll do stuff with it, right? So even if you are in the agonies, I would invite you to consider the percentage of time that you spend in the agonies versus out of them. At which point, if you feel like you're in there too much, it might be smart for you to try a different system, whether it's our system or another system. Just try a different system and get better tools that you can use to readily move out of it. Because there's a big difference between achievement and fulfillment. Big difference. And for a lot of the guys that come to us that do feel like something's missing, they have been chasing the achievement, believing that, hoping really, that the achievement was going to give them the fulfillment. But achievement is going to come and go. Just like happiness, it's an emotional state. It's going to come and go. It's going to pass on by like a cloud in the sky. Whereas fulfillment is a very different state. It's a very different experience to live your life in and from. And when you're able to peel away all of the layers that we often think we need in order to show people we are successful, I've got the car, I've got the home, I've got the family, I've got the body, I've got this, I've got that, and realize that, do you know what? I don't need to prove myself to anybody. That's when you start to enter into fulfillment. You relax into who you are, and your connection with your wife goes to levels that I was going to say you didn't know, but I think you do know. I think you do want that deeper level, and you know that it's there. All the guys that come to us, it's not about them having more sex with the wife. We used to think it was, didn't we? We used to think that the guys wanted to have more sex, but we've realized that it's not about more sex. The guys really want a deeper level of intimacy and connection with the wife. For their wives to be able to look at them like they used to, with admiration and respect and connection, right? Ferg, one of the guys that just came out of the Alpha Reset. What's so funny?
I think you thought they wanted more sex. I'm just
Yeah,
laughing.
maybe I did.
Nothing wrong with that. A lot of guys do want more sex, but they want more sex with connection and everything else that comes with it.
Exactly.
The sex is like it's like the toppings of a sundae, right? They're nice to have, but it's not the main course.
Yeah. No, not at all. Like Ferg, who came out of the Alpha Reset, the last one. I recorded a video where actually just going through his reintegration, if you will. And he said that his wife came up to him and she'd given him a hug, and he felt this love and this hug from her that he'd not felt in like 5 years. And that was the highlight for him of his week. I felt that my wife was there and she wanted me again. And then later that evening, she came up to him. He was laid on the bed. And I don't think you know this, Doug. He was laid on the bed. His kids were about to get into the bath. His wife comes in. He's minding his own business. She jumps on him and starts playing with him and flirting with him. And it then led to the following day. He was sat at the table with his wife and kids, his phone completely away, not even in sight. And he felt totally comfortable to be there. And it was the first time he'd felt that way for years. And we've spoken before about feeling like a stranger in your own home, right?
Sure.
It's huge. It's huge. But that's from him going from constantly chasing the next deal, constantly chasing the next, because he's in retail, sells clothes. He's got retail stores in various big outlets in the UK. So he's gone from chasing the next deal, the next business, this, that, and the other, to relaxing. And he still has that drive. Yeah, he still has the drive, but it comes from a different place. And that's, I think, something important to mention. A lot of people that I speak with sometimes get worried. Well, if I'm actually going to be fulfilled, I'll lose my edge.
Yeah,
I'll lose my drive. But in actual fact, it's magnified.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, it's almost like, I think what happens, Tim, is you're spot on, is the guys like, look, as men, you and I have been in business for a long time, running multiple companies, and that's our thing, right? It's our identity. We're great at it. We crush it, all those good things. And we think, okay, wait a minute. If all of a sudden I get presence, I start meditating, or I find the formula for happiness, then I'm not going to have the drive to go crush it, right? Because I've used pain as my motivator to get through. And it's the exact opposite. When you're firing on all cylinders in different areas of your life, you're actually more motivated, right, to go out there. You make clear decisions. You have more energy to go through there, and you're a better human being. And as a better man, you can really dominate the business. Now, instead of pushing and grinding to get your results in business, you're being pulled by your intention. You're being pulled by your desire. It's a totally different experience, right? Totally different. So Tim, in wrapping this up, when we talk about this, I'd love to hear your number one takeaway for a guy listening to this that says, crap, feeling unfulfilled. He's resonating with the 5 agonies. Let him know, what's one thing he can do?
Wow. One thing he can do. I would have him take some time, take some space. And this may even be over a week, right? As he continues to just add to it day by day. And for him to answer this question, who am I without my business?
Great question.
Just if we were to come along and take your business away from you tomorrow, who would you be? And for some guys, it may terrify them. Well, I can't even wrap my head around that. I can't even begin to think about that. That is who I am. That's a dangerous place to be, right? So just don't force it. Take some time. Just sit with this question for, like I say, a week or so, and just add to it. Just think about it. And then from there, then you can start to consider what you actually want. Ooh. You can't really build a life that gives you fulfillment without first answering the question of who you are.
So true. Words spoken from the man himself. So gentlemen, I invite you guys to head over to thealphareset.com, where you can find more information, training videos from Tim, the Powerful Man Matthews, as well as an invitation if it sounds good to you to get on a call. And that's it for us today, guys. Until next week, we'll see you on the Powerful Man Show.